Here we are. We're live streaming, Tom. Are we up and live streaming?
We are up and live streaming. According to what I can see on my side, we are up and live streaming. And it says we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn.
Twitch. Interesting. I just had I'm writing a screenplay right now. And the guy I'm co-writing this screenplay with, we had an argument over video games. Can I see the people I'm playing with while I'm playing a video game? And to write the story the way we were writing it, I thought you could see the other people like we sitting in a Zoom. And he yelled at me, "No, you can't see the other people." And I'm like, "Well, isn't Twitch where you can see the other people?" So we had my 16-year-old son settle the argument. And the theory is, no, you are not able to see other people while you're gaming.
It's where like people can watch you gaming. But I don't think there's a lot of like there is interaction. Like I know people can like comment on your feed on Twitch and things like that, but I don't know if they can if they can actually, like, if you can, like, you don't talk to each other, you're not both on screen at the same time. So it's like, it's as if like, like for us, for this, kind of setup, we're live streaming and people on YouTube or on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever they're watching can like comment, and those comments will pop up like on my side and I can put them on screen and things like that. But it's not it's not like I can't like pull them up on screen. They're not like going to be on camera. It's not that kind of deal. And I think Twitch is similar.
Would you consider it a media platform?
Twitch?
Yeah.
I think probably it would be best described as like a live streaming platform.
Okay, got it. Let's see. We got Billy and David here. Billy, when Billy makes an appearance, I'm honored, man. This guy is blowing up. Tom, if you are not following him on Instagram, his tips are so straightforward where you just like, I scroll through his things. Billy, you're good at making these things where you scroll through like 10 things. I'm scrolling, and every time I get a great point. So, Billy, man, thanks for being in the room. We were talking Twitch. We talked Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media here. So what's your stance on it? Tell us about Twitch. And what are you doing with your marketing right now? Billy, the floor is yours. When you get Billy in the room, you just give him the floor, Tom. That's what I learned.
Hey, Dominick, really appreciate all the kind words, man. And I'm like everyone else. I was throwing mud against the wall and seeing what works. And as far as the Twitch conversation, this is actually one of my favorite platforms to watch live videos on. I don't watch gaming or any of that, but there is like a talk shows, podcast section, and sometimes I'll jump on there and watch live shows that I catch. I don't really have any that are like go-tos, but I'll go on there as a consumer and try to find stuff. And I also like to watch a bunch of like live poker on there. I'm on dad duty too, so you might hear my 3-year-old in the background. But yeah, man, as far as marketing stuff, I mean, I got a couple different podcasts, so anything that you guys see is probably linked to Creating for Money, which is to help other content creators make money with their show, predominantly through sponsorship deals, but then several other ways to monetize as well. I'm primarily focused on helping people get sponsorship opportunities. And then I have a really popular saltwater fishing show, and we've been able to build that over the last almost 2 years. Next month will be 2 years. So we've fully sponsored since episode 5. And then we just launched a membership this past weekend for additional content through our own website, managing it all. And going to host a video audio on there. And it's like we have a general fishing show, but now we're going to do a weekly reports show. So we're calling on those same captains and guides up and down the coast of North Carolina and getting fishing reports every week from them. So that's a paid membership, and man, we've worked hard and we launched it, and we got about 40, 45, 43, 44 people, I believe, signed up. already. So we're pretty excited, and we've only been announcing it for a few days. So yeah, man, a lot of stuff in the works, and then yeah, it's always fun to be here. So thanks for creating the space.
Hey, Billy, where are you out of? Because if I'm ever traveling, I want to get in on this saltwater action. So where are you out of?
So normally I'm out of North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina. I currently live in Puerto Rico until the end of May. We took a little 10-month excursion journey here to just live in a different culture before a kid goes to school. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm working all virtually, then once we get back, particularly for our membership stuff, we'll start offering more things, and hopefully, that will include live events and things like that as well. So yeah, we're kind of in phase 2, I guess.
Hey, man. Well, we appreciate you being here. Really, thanks for stopping by. Then here's last thing. Since you're great at monetizing podcasts and things like that. So what is one tip you would share with, because people watching the replay and things like that, they're trying to monetize things they're doing. What's one tip you would give somebody trying to monetize their podcast?
Man, I would say know your audience, like know your niche, like make a decision about who your audience is before you start, if that's what you want to do. Or if you've already started and you've been at it for a while, either you probably know what your niche is, your target audience, or you can go look through your analytics, your community, whatever you've been building, and kind of carve out a niche. I think that's how we were able to monetize super fast, because I was able to leverage the conversation of quality, not quantity. And a lot of podcasters and really any advertising media, sponsorship media, really focuses heavy on, impressions, downloads, listens, views, whatever. And we focus on the quality of the audience. And so I was able early on to go, talk to that level of need from sponsors. Like, what do this is who we're targeting. This is who we're going to build a relationship with. Is this the same target audience for you? And when we matched those two up perfectly, we were able to bring on, our one sponsor has been with us since episode 5. We drop episode 100 tomorrow. They just signed a whole year contract for 2022, and so did another sponsor. We just did a deal with Academy of Sports, and we got several more lined up that we're going to pepper throughout the year. So yeah, man, I think know your niche, and don't focus on the numbers, focus on the people, and you'll do well.
Billy, appreciate you being here. Tom, I don't know if you've come across Billy yet, but just always just drops knowledge where you can see that this would benefit somebody starting a podcast or something like this. When he starts talking, this would benefit him. So I think we need to meet some more people. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I just wanted to echo one thing that Billy touched on there, talking about what one tip is. When you asked him what's one tip that he could share, and right away he went to knowing your audience, and I think that's super valuable and something that a lot of folks miss when it comes to communications and how they interact with the world and how they try to promote their business and the work that they do. And that is that they don't put their audience first. At the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about what you want to say. It's not about what you want to get across to people. It's about what your audience needs to hear and how you can provide value to them, right? Through the products you sell, through the services that you provide, or through the content that you create. So audience always comes first in the equation. It's always the first thing you should be thinking about. And I just wanted to echo that because I think Billy is dead on right about it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Billy. Tom, piggybacking on how do you make sure that you're staying on, that you're caring about your audience? That I wish John Jay was in here because he always talks audience first. How do you make sure that, what are you doing? Surveys? How do you know that you're giving them what they want and that you're not a vanity project where Tom's showing how nice his beard is every week?
I mean, I think there's two easy metrics, right? So it's how engaged your audience is with your content, right? Do they interact? Do they comment? Do they share? Do they tell people about your show, right? And then the sort of next metric that you look at beyond that engagement, right, with where you share about where you share your content, is your audience growth over time. If your audience is growing over time, right? Even if it's whatever however many people you're adding per week, per month, whatever the case may be, so long as the graph continues to go up over time, you're doing something right. Right. And you can sort of A/B, and you can ask your audience, involve them in the process. People love to be a part of the process. So ask your audience, get them involved, provide them opportunities to help make sure that the content you're creating, or the products or services that you're putting out into the world are the best they can be to serve their needs. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're there for. Whether you're a content creator or a manufacturer or a service provider, you are there to serve your community. That's your job. And if you put that first, that's how you'll make money.
Tom, love it. Billy, love it. Put the audience first. John Jay, your ears must have been burning there, because I want to go into how you write up your bios and everything. So Billy said, put the audience first. Tom piggybacked off that. I asked him, well, how do you do that? How do you make sure that it isn't a vanity project? I deal with authors a lot of times, and sometimes they want their picture on the cover of the book. Sometimes that's a good reason because they're the brand, this. Sometimes it's because they just want to see their picture on a cover of a book. So, right, it's more vanity than something else. Go on.
I got one other quick little tip, like easy, super easy way to know whether or not it's a vanity project or you're out there to create value for your audience. And that's just looking at the pronouns you use, right? Are you saying I and me more than you're saying you or they? Very easy way to measure, right? What are the words? What's the language you're using? If you're saying I all the time, then you're talking about yourself too much, right? If you're talking about your audience, you're going to use different pronouns. So yeah, just looking at how often you use I and me is a great way to tell whether or not you're involved in a vanity project, or you're actually out there to create value for your audience.
Okay, excellent. So John Jay, I mentioned you when we were talking about this. I said, I wish John Jay was in. I'm not good enough at pinging people while I'm talking, Tom, but I was thinking, damn, I wish I could ping John Jay. And John, you appeared in the room. So what's your thoughts on that subject?
Yeah. First of all, it's always a pleasure to be here with you all. It's always about your audience. I repeat that. When people start their thinking and their planning for their episode or their title or their show notes about me, our team, they're losing sight of the most important part of the equation, which is the person who consumes your show. So whether you're doing business to business, business to phone call, it's most importantly is your the person consuming the show. Because if you don't have that, you have no listeners, and you stagnate and you get stale and you don't grow. So, having said that, I just posted a podcast episode of the show featuring someone I met in Clubhouse a long time ago, and she is a podcaster. She's also an author, and she's a certified master grief coach and podcaster. It's called The Leftover Pieces Suicide Survivors Podcast, I think it's called. So when I created the episode of the show, I'll just tell you what the title is. The title is Life After Her Son's Death by Suicide, a very difficult and important conversation for survivors. See, that's geared in my mind towards the consumer. And when I created the podcast cover image, it has an image of her podcast, one photo of her, and then I found a generic image you could use that is free that says suicide. So quite often people send me images and it's headshots, it's glamour photos, it's all these things that is important to them. But the consumer, people listening to the show, it's of little importance to them. They don't know who these people are. They're not brand names. So why would they click on it? If I start a conversation with so-and-so, that no one knows who that is, why would a consumer click on it? So what I do is I try to create the title and the show notes to make it as intriguing to a consumer as possible. This is who it's for, and this is what's in it for you. It's that simple. When it gets into, I want to talk about me, whether it be myself as the show host or my guest, I want them to have a great experience. I do, but it X's out the person's most important equation, that who's going to consume the show. So if they don't consume the show, they don't get to hear their message. So that's why it's of paramount importance to me. And that was taught to me early on the radio. It's always about your listener first. And here, I'll close on this. I worked at a classic rock station outside of Washington, D.C. for a while. And people said, you must love the music. And I told them, doing live radio, even if it's your most favorite format of music, doesn't matter. You'll get so sick and tired of hearing that music over and over and over again because it's not for you. It's for the consumer of the show. End of story. Thank you.
John Jay, man, I knew Tom, wasn't he on point? I knew with that subject. I was hoping you came through. Thank you, John, man. Good stuff.
100%, gold from John there, and gold every time he comes in the room. I mean, he and I have gone back and forth a couple of times. We have, different perspectives on things. We come from different worlds. I know he is not a fan of using video himself right now. And it's not because he doesn't see the value in it. It's because he doesn't have the time, and it's not, it's not where he wants to live. But at the same time, like, John always comes in here and drops incredible value for people who are looking to start up radio shows, podcasting, that kind of, those kinds of projects. And he's just a wealth of knowledge. So love having him in here, and absolutely 100% listen to everything that man says. It's gold.
Absolutely, man. And that's what's interesting about like us jumping on this room together. Like, I'm in the publishing business primary, Tom's in the video business. So when we come to people and ask podcasters for help, or, we don't know it. We're looking for your feedback. These are areas where we're saying, hey, we see the value. We see what's going on Clubhouse. We see what's going on on YouTube. We see that there's other places to share your message, share your story. Well, we may be experts more in one space or the other. We're trying to learn and become better at our crafts as well. So that's what we do. That's why we lean on you guys. We're appreciative. So let's reset. Let's get to now. I'm sorry, David and Michael. You thought I was coming to you next, but I am going ladies first here because I am a gentleman at heart here, Tom. So we're going to meet Renee. I met Renee. I'm now following. We're going to meet Renee and Julie. So Renee, ask a question, drop a tip. You are up.
Ladies, be ready.
Let's see when you go popcorn.
I'm here.
When you go popcorn style, that's what happens. So we will go to Julie, and then Julie, who I had a lovely call with yesterday, Tom. We had a Zoom. She had this great virtual background. I was taking notes. Her lighting was on point. Everything. I'm like, I am a better person this morning than I was yesterday before I talked to Julie. So, Julie, would you like to drop a tip or ask a question? The floor is yours.
Wow, that's a really nice intro. Thank you. Dominick's amazing. You guys all know that. He's the real deal. And I know that we all feel that way. He's on a mission to do things right and do it for good. So it's my honor to have had that conversation. I think everything's totally on point. I think everyone right now, as I see it, with my audience and with the world, there's so much disengagement with how people are maneuvering their lives, their careers. So to John's point and Billy's point, having that engagement with your audience, and how can you do it differently than everybody else? How can you stand out and distinguish yourself above everyone else that's doing the same thing, above all the white noise? So that's just a question I always ask myself, is how can I do things differently than everyone else is doing while making an impact and really connecting with my people. And I apologize for the background. My son decided to start playing the drums as soon as I got on.
Well, Julie, that is fine, and we like his drum playing too. But so you have this question you ask, but how do you do that?
Well, specifically, I mean, it's really about, for me at least, it's about creating a community that's off social media. It's off, not necessarily Clubhouse, but something that I can make a better connection with my people. And I showed you yesterday, Dominick, how Karina Belizzi and I are doing that through a mighty network and really giving people the tools. We're both very mission driven. We don't do it to, bait and switch, saying like, join our community and it's free. And then a month later, it's $700. So we're really on that mission to do what's right, what's good, and give underserved entrepreneurs, creatives, the tools they need, because it can be very confusing. That's what we're all doing here, right? We're sharing our expertise, but taking it off of platforms that we have no control over. So I would say that's how I'm doing it. And I'm always trying to improve and always open for suggestions.
I think that's awesome, Julie. I just wanted to jump in. I have some thoughts on ways to do this. And one of the things that I like to talk about when it comes to how to really how to make sure you're sort of standing out and staying above the noise or breaking through the noise on different platforms is, and standing out from everybody else, the way other people are doing things, right? Like you mentioned, for me, it's doing it your way, right? I think people get really caught up in trying to follow the lead of other people or sort of copy examples, or they get told you have to do things one way versus another way. And at the end of the day, there are kind of, just like in life, there are really no sort of, hard and fast rules when it comes to content creation, whether it's on social media or for your website or things like that. There's no right or wrong, really. And so I think, within reason, obviously, I'm talking, if you're being over generally reasonable, there's no right or wrong. And so I think it's important that you create content that is authentic to who you are. And really, if you boil that down, I think what's important to do when you're creating content for your brand or your business, even if you have a lot of competitors in the same space, if there's a lot of other people doing similar things to what you do, no one is doing it the way you're doing it, because you are you, right? Because there is only one you. So do it in a way that is authentic to who you are, and your audience, the right audience, the audience you want to attract, the audience you want to be part of your community, will be drawn to that, right? They will be drawn to that authenticity because you are someone that they can relate to. You are someone that they can empathize with. And so that's how I do it. I think it's incredibly important to just be authentic and create content that is authentic to you in a way that is authentic to you. That's why we're doing this live stream and why I do live content more than any other form. And it's because that's what I like to do. That's my comfort zone. And I honestly feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like it's sort of my zone of genius, right? And I feel that way because I feel so comfortable doing it. I am super comfortable getting in front of a camera and talking for a few minutes. And doing a live video that way. And so that's the way I choose to do it. Do other people in my industry do it that way? Not necessarily, but I'm not worried about the flash. Like I can make content look super flashy and amazing and do all kinds of graphical effects and impressive things. But at the end of the day, you're not hiring me for that. That's something anybody can provide you. You're hiring me for me, right? And you're gonna work with my company because you like what we stand for. And I think I communicate that most effectively and most authentically through live video. So that's what I choose to do. Billy, I saw you flashing your mic down there. What are your thoughts on creating content that's authentic to you?
Yeah, Tom. I love this because I was the guy who was looking to everyone else and going, okay. And this is good though, right? Because if you don't know anything, you look at success, and success leaves clues. So you can pick up a lot of tips and tricks and strategies and all that kind of stuff. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. You may start off by looking at someone else's content. And this is what I did. I looked at someone else's content and then said, oh, I'm going to create content like that. Well, it didn't really fit my personality. And I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense for me. And it took me about a year to find myself and to find my voice and to find what I like to do and what I like to help other people do. And so, in the fishing space, and this is the funny part, in the fishing space of my fishing podcast, I don't know that much about saltwater fishing. Now, I probably sandbag a little bit and probably know a little bit more than I actually let people know, because that's the character that I play in the fishing community. People are like, oh, here's this, like the smartest redneck, right? Like, I'm just like, oh, cool, I'm the techiest redneck guy. And I've started 2 super popular fishing podcasts on the coast of North Carolina, blah, blah, blah. So that's like kind of what, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy people kind of being like, oh, you're an idiot, like when you have a fishing podcast, because I sandbag and act like I don't know anything. However, it positions me in a really good place with people we're trying to attract, which is the novice saltwater fisherman. So my partner has been fishing for many years, goes on a lot of trips. I don't. So we have this really good equal balance. And then I think when it comes to like personal branding and content creation, it is having a lot of fun. And sales and everything is just being yourself. And I think what you'll find, and what I have found over the last 18 months or so, going from working in a t-shirt printing business for 10 years, working B2B all the time, to working B2C and helping people launch their podcasts or get sponsors for their show or whatever, become more of this consultant. I tried to copy other people's systems and figure out sales funnels and all this stuff that just doesn't fit me. Like, I'm a pretty straight shooter. I get on Clubhouse and say, hey, if you want help monetizing podcasts, here's a Calendly link, click it. There's no sales funnel. There's no email. There's no free ebook. I'm not going to, they probably never email you. I probably have all your emails. I never email anybody, because it's just not how I operate, and I just want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to do any of that stuff. And so once I made that switch, it was like people are now signing up all the time to have these discovery calls to say, hey, am I a good fit for your $1,000 10-week opportunity? And so, however, I was trying to copy everybody else, and it just didn't work. And when I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be myself, and the people who love me or like me will come be a part of my world, and the people who don't, they won't. And it's great, because it's less headache for both parties. And so it's tough. I think it's tough to do that, just like it's tough to pick a niche and go after it. I hear a lot of podcasters say, well, I just started this podcast for fun, but now I want to make some money. And I'm like, cool, who's your niche? Well, I don't know. Well, you should pick one and start focusing on it, or start a new show that's built to speak to a particular type of audience, because that's what you need. And to Julie's point, it's like, how do I take these from audience member to community member? And there's a big difference there. And I always say this analogy, or like little whatever you call it. It's like, if I'm a comedian and I'm telling jokes on the stage, the guy in the back drinking beer, probably telling his own jokes, maybe listening, maybe not, he's my audience member. But my community member is on the front row. They get the t-shirt, the flare, the bumper sticker, all that shit. They got everything. Like, they're my super fans, if you will. And so that is the process we are in now after 2 years with the fishing shows. How do we take people who've been listening, maybe commenting, maybe emailing us, maybe buying us a coffee, maybe doing some of this stuff, and how do we really ramp up that relationship to build this massive fishing community empire? And then basically what I'm doing is taking that as a model, working my ass off to make that successful, and I'm taking that as a model and showing other people how to do it. So that's a little bit of my thoughts, but you got to show up authentic, man. I think you crushed it, Tom. It's like, and you'll be surprised, because people hear it on this app. They hear it in your videos. They hear it no matter what you're doing, live streaming, audio, video, YouTube channels. They will hear that authenticity in your voice. And you guys, every person in this room knows right now, is Billy lying or is he telling the truth? Because you can hear the passion that is coming from my face. And if I wasn't passionate about it, you would know this guy's full of shit.
Billy, man, I'm so glad you're here. And I have an author that has a book. The title is Be Relentlessly Yourself. And just such what, no plug for her, but what a great title, man. It makes me think, like, in our world, when you are like Billy, when you chase being yourself, and a lot of times I'll finish this with, talk about there's 7.6 billion people on the planet. And if I try to be Billy, I will fail. If I try to have a nice beard like Tom, I will fail. If I try to be so smooth like David, I'll fail. If I try to make people sit up straight like Michael does, like when he talks and drops the knowledge, I'm not that guy. I'm not Julie. I'm not John. But if I'm Dominick, if I'm this guy with a muffled voice from Pittsburgh that messes up half the words he says and does my thing, well, I can be pretty good at that. I can't be good at those other things, but I can be all right at being Dominick. So, okay, Tom, we talk Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media. Back in the day, we used to do this room with our friend Neil, and Neil would have added 20 more keywords if we could. That's what he taught me, keywords. So, wish he was here. But okay, we are going to meet a guy, David, my friend David. This is a guy that is about as authentic as they come. And when you hear David talk, every time you hear him, the more you like him. And I'm trying to figure out I'm going to learn provinces in Canada, Tom, so I know which side of Canada he's on when he's talking. But David, you're up, man. Talk about being authentic. Welcome to the room. What'd you have to say, Tom, first? Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, I was going to challenge you real quick. Can you name 3 Canadian provinces?
I've been to Canada. I've been to Toronto and Saskatchewan. Is that one? Manitoba and Calgary. I have no idea.
Well, now you're talking your cities, right? I'm talking provinces.
No, I'm ignorant. I'm going to learn that for next week. I want quizzed on, this is how I want knowledge. Just like I want to learn about podcasting and all these other things, I'm going to learn provinces for David.
There you go. Well, I'll give you a little help. I'll let you know David is in Ontario. That's the province that he's in. And then I'll hand it over to David.
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Okay, David, you're up.
Well, I would have to say, if I had my choice, I would live where Michael is, because he lives in the most beautiful part of the country. So way out there in beautiful British Columbia. So that is the place. I've been there once, Michael, and I was there for 10 hours for a trip for work, and I didn't want to come home. I loved it. It was so beautiful there. Thanks, guys. The one thing, I've been working with a podcaster just recently, and helping them get going, get off the bench, and get out into the field and start to play. And I'm challenging them to not wait, to not make sure everything's perfect before they push record on their first podcast. And my goal, Dominick, is just to get them to the plate. But then, not when they're at the plate. I think in baseball, when they're at the plate, don't try to just hit the ball, but swing for the fence. Let's go. Like, yesterday, I had the great opportunity of speaking to somebody in our space. We do upcycling and salvaging and repurposing. I've been watching a TV show out of the States, out of Roanoke, Virginia. It's called Black Dog Salvage. It's the Salvage Dogs, 11 seasons, 143 episodes, and I just love the show. I love what they do. They really speak to what we do, and they encourage us, inspire us. I reached out. I heard back from them within a day. They were excited to be on our podcast. And I had like an hour and a half with these two gentlemen from the show. And, my wife and I got off the interview and we're like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, they changed their whole day around for us just to record with us. So had we not been bold, had we not stepped up to the plate, and had we not swung for something that felt like out of our reach, this never would have happened. So my encouragement for everybody today, whether you're writing a book, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're putting yourself out on social media, just swing for the fence. Try to pick something that just seems like it's almost impossible, and go for it. Just try, and you'll never know unless you try. And that's my biggest encouragement for myself personally, and for anyone in the room. Just put yourself out there. You would be surprised the power that comes with having a show, the power that comes with having a community. People are genuinely interested in people that are doing things. The people that are sitting on the bench waiting for their next turn at bat. Not quite as interesting. They don't get a lot of screen time on camera. They're just waiting in the wings. Let's get up to the plate. That's where all the action is. That's my challenge for everybody today. Thanks, Tom.
David, love it, man. Tom, go on. I want to follow up with a question, but
yeah,
tackle it first.
I just want to say, I just want to encourage people to do exactly what David's talking about, and that is to dig into your network, to explore your connections and who you're connected to through friends, family, business associates, etc., and then swing for the fences and reach out to those whales, right, and connect with them. And like what David did was he offered an opportunity for those guys at Black Dog Salvage. I'm familiar with them. I actually worked with them on a project before they had a TV show. And like I don't know, probably 10, 12 years ago now. But anyway, they're super nice guys. And what David did was he offered them an opportunity to share something they're passionate about with a new audience, right? And to reach an audience in a different way by being on David's podcast. And they jumped at that chance, right? So never doubt the power that you have and the value that you can provide others. You just have to reach out and offer that value. That's exactly what David did. And look how it paid off for him. I just found out today, like, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not going to say who it is or how I'm connected to them, but I just found out today I am 1 degree of separation away from an Academy Award winner. At least one Academy Award winner, right? So like in the film industry. So you never know who's in that Rolodex on the second layer, right? Or the third layer. If you peel back those connections a little bit and ask for introductions, people will usually give them. So just don't be afraid to ask.
Great stuff, Tom. Great stuff, David. I wanted to go on something that David mentioned to me one day. And David, I believe in 100%. What somebody told him, I am against 100%. And I want to tackle that. It was somebody early on in David's podcasting career that wanted to know how many views he had on his show and wouldn't do his show because of how many views, or they asked this or this or this. And to me, just what Tom said right here, if you have a message that you are proud of, that you believe in, if you get it out to one more person, didn't you win? And so I think about the person that said they wouldn't do it. One, they didn't know David was a great guy and about to blow up. So I'm riding David's coattails, but that's besides the fact. But here's a guy, if you believe in your story, why wouldn't you want to get it out to more people? So it's a complete miss. And David, man, what's your thoughts on that before we move on to our main man, Michael, that you said is living in the most beautiful of provinces?
Yeah, Dom. So like I was saying, some of the people we've reached out to, and not everybody's been a home run. I got to be honest, right? There's been times where people won't even return our emails or our calls. That's fine. I just pick up and go. You like we talk about all those stats, right? In baseball, how many home runs, blah blah blah. Everybody cheers the home runs, but how many strikeouts? How many foul balls the guy hit? Like there's so many other numbers that are all part of this big number that we include in our stats, right? So yeah, we reached out to people, and some people laughed, some people don't respond. One person just grilled us on our numbers for our downloads. But then I talked to another author who does like huge podcasts, like huge podcasts, and I'm like, again, I have in my mind, I have no possibility of having any time with this person. But he asked me my numbers right off the bat. But then I turned the conversation and said, listen, I'm here. I heard you on a podcast, and the person that was interviewing you took a phone call right in the middle of one of your sentences, left it in the podcast recording, put it out in the world, and it looked terrible on you. I apologize on behalf of all other podcasters for how you were treated on this certain podcast. The author laughed. He said, you know what? I don't care about your numbers. I like you. Let's do this. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got you, because you inspire me with your book. And I just wanted to tell you that and have you on the podcast. And so you could inspire others like you've done for me. That's all I want. And that's it. We're set up for next week. And I have an author that I would never, ever thought I would ever have a chance on, because I swung for the fence. Just try it. It will work. That's kind of how I'm looking at today, Dom. Thanks.
David, man, thank you for sharing. Billy, does this guy have an authentic voice or what? When you talk about an authentic voice, is his on point or what?
Yeah, man, love it. And Tom, good to meet you. David, good to meet you as well. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you having me up. I'm multitasking, but
You're all good, man. Okay, it's a big moment, Tom. You know what the moment is. We're going to the man, law of attraction. Everybody sit up straight. That's it. That's what I've been told because the cadence, the message, the power, and the experience speaks for itself. So, Michael, glad to have you in the room today. So, I'm following you on LinkedIn, Michael. If don't be mad if I'm helping your algorithm because I'm like hearting and celebrating every one of his posts. So, I
Thank
hope I'm not
you.
I hope I'm not freaking you out, but I am enjoying your content. So, thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Hey, everybody. My name's Michael Loge. I live on an island on the west coast of Canada. The name is Victoria. And Dominic, this is your first lesson. The province, like your state, is called British Columbia. British Columbia, there's a little island north of Seattle on the Canadian border. That's where I live. I'm the author of 3 books. And when I came into the room today, we were talking about monetizing your podcast. And so I'm going to go back to that conversation that we had. Last Saturday, I finished podcast number 233. And I do it live every Saturday for 4 years. Now, is it a podcast? Not really. I go live in 3 places at the same time. I'm using Be Live software. That's BE.live. I go live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn all at the same time. So talk about syndication. And then right after the live show, my guy takes my live show from Facebook and turns it into a podcast. We have 125,000 downloads of it, and we never edited any of them. We've never edited. Live, make a mistake, it's up. So I heard a lot of great things today, and what I wanted to add to that is, so how do we make money? So it's called The Bro Show. It's both John and I. We're both emotion code practitioners. John's entire business comes from the podcast and the live events. I think because I understand a lot about how people like to learn, I think strictly audio podcasts is missing the mark to have a larger audience. I'm not a podcast listener. I don't even listen to the radio in my car. So I like to see things. I like to watch TV. I like to watch documentaries. I like to watch videos. So when I go live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, I'm I'm showing people things because that's my style. People say, that's not a podcast. That's my style. I heard Tom say, that's my style. You don't need to apologize to anyone. This is my style. But here's where we make money. We're always talking about something during the podcast that they want. Is it a list? Is it the chart we're using? Is it a video? So during the live podcast using Be Live, the video rather, using Be Live software, the little ticker tape says, get notified of our topic Friday at 9 a.m. Our show's live on Saturday. And then we send them to my page, which is releasingnegativeemotions.com/live. Very easy to say. During the live show, 10 to 20 people are signing up during the live show. So every Friday, this is how we monetize our podcast. It's not during the podcast, it's the announcement about the upcoming podcast. And inside that newsletter is marketing. How to hire John. Here's a free video Michael did. Here's something on law of attraction. Here's Michael's upcoming course. They're my target audience, people that want to be notified what we're doing once a week. And again, that email announcement. So 2 points I wanted to make sure as I'm summarizing here. Number 1, it might not be your style to need to be seen, but there's styles that like it. The visual person like me, we like to see you speak, even if you're reading something. And the kinesthetic student, these are the touchy-feelies. They will connect with you much better when they can connect or see you. They'll trust you better. They'll have a better feeling about you. So again, even though we traditionally podcast as audio, how can you be seen to satisfy all the styles and at the same time be in syndication every time you're just, even when you're recording your podcast, put a video on. That's interesting. Thanks for letting me share here, Dominic and Tom. And I want to acknowledge about you guys setting up the podcast club. I love that. Make sure you're following it. And I'm here every Wednesday hanging out with you guys. Thanks for giving me the space to share.
Much appreciated, Michael. Always a pleasure to have you here in the room. Always excited to see you and glad to have you spending time with us on Wednesday mornings. I know British Columbia, Dominic, is on the west coast of Canada, and so it's real early in the morning when Michael joins us for him every Wednesday. And so we really appreciate you being here with us, Michael, and sharing your thoughts and your wisdom. Obviously, you're very experienced at communicating with folks and effective communication. And I love what you're talking about. Just, being yourself, and just doing what is comfortable and feels good for you to create, feels like a good way for you to communicate. We're all individuals. Everybody has their own style of communication. Right. And so it's important to just play to your strengths, really, is what that comes down to. Right. Just playing to your strengths. If you're comfortable at something, there's a good chance that you're also good at it. And that's why you're comfortable with it. So play to your strengths. And I just put up, for anybody watching the live stream, I paraphrased the title of Dominick's author's book and put up on the screen, Be Relentlessly Authentic. Because I think that's going to be my phrase of the day coming out of this room today, is be relentlessly authentic for yourself and for your audience, and they will be drawn to that authenticity. I'll hand it back to Dom. Dom, let's keep the room moving, my friend. Who's up?
Okay, let's do this, Tom. And one of the things, let's clarify, because we're live streaming here too. So some people have never been on Clubhouse. Some people have never been on social audio. So I just want to talk about some things that I think are cool about social audio. One, you can go on and jump in other people's rooms. Like I could jump in Michael's room or Julie's room or Billy's room and learn about podcasting or business or NFTs or book writing or whatever these things are. So you can jump on. All these subjects are being covered on social audio. That's number one. You can network with people. There's a little thing called a back channel. So I can send Billy a message. I can send David a message and say, David, boy, you are really interesting. Besides for teaching me about provinces, I would like to be on your show sometime or something like that. So you're able to connect. This social audio here, Clubhouse, allows you to add some social media links as well. So you can click right on somebody's face and then read a bio about them. And then you can actually go right to their Instagram page, right to their Twitter page. So being on social audio, besides the connections, besides learning, it is a great way to grow your network as well. So this is Clubhouse. There's other social audios out there, growing social audios. Will they work? Maybe, maybe not, but it's a great platform to hear voices like Billy's and David's and Michael's. And next up here, if she would like to share her voice today, we're going to meet with Renee. I met Renee before, but Renee, if you'd like to ask a question or give us a tip, we are glad to have you in the room today. And I would think I speak for Tom too, is we're glad to have all of you in the room. But Renee, you're up.
Can you hear me? Because that's half my problem.
No, we can hear you loud and clear. You're doing
okay,
good.
Great. Sorry. And I'm visually impaired. So I'm trying to learn how to navigate around and doing it. I have been on Clubhouse before, and I try to participate whenever I am in a room, unless I know nothing. Or I'm now, of course, I'm in the big picture room a lot just to see what's going on. And then thank you for actually inviting me, because I was wanting to attend and I got so lost into what was going on. I've been on listening to that room forever. I don't know, probably 24 hours straight almost. But anyway, so when you had first invited me, it was because I was trying to follow some speakers, and I wasn't even thinking, okay, I can't find the button that I need until I get off that page. But so I have to flick around and listen to what my voiceover screen says, and that's just going to take practice for me. So.
Renee, I will say that it is not easy for all of us, so I would be sure that it is probably an extra effort and we appreciate you taking to navigate being blind. So thanks for being willing to do that and sticking with it to
No,
hang
yeah.
out in our room.
Well, I love Clubhouse, and to me, the reason I love it is because it's all audio, and I am more audio than visual, obviously. But I'm visually impaired, so I have some sight, and um, so it's a kind of flip flop back and forth, and that has to do with your brain. Our brains are wired for vision. Even blind people can learn visually, or they're visual learners, just because that's how our brains are wired, actually. But anyway, first of all, thank you for this podcast. It is something that I've been wanting to do. I don't even know why I want to do it, but I do. It's like I feel comfortable and good once I get rolling. For me, it's just the jumping right in with 2 feet sometimes, and if I wait too long, I'll freeze. So I'm trying to do, like, every piece of advice that somebody gave today. I was like, yeah, that's great. That sounds good. And I think it's an authentic. I was listening to Brene Brown just the other day, and that was her theme. And the way she explained it, it hit. I was like, that sounds good to me. I get it now, because it's like she wants to help people. So she's not going to dress up into expensive gear when she wants to. She wants to. She's down to earth. She wants to be seen as a human, and then people will listen. And I get that too, because I've actually seen myself experience at that point. So I'm trying to become more aware of things for me, so I will be able to um, articulate better when I'm talking to I am talking to somebody else. And so that's where, I mean, as far as me, that's where I am. And mostly I just want to thank you guys and appreciate you for allowing me to come in and get started, I guess I should say. And so I'm like, content. How do I? That was my next thing to get. When you want to jump right in, I think that's where what kind of content do you like go? Okay, I'm gonna write down 10 subjects or 10 areas that I want to discuss. For the next 10 weeks or however long. How do you get your content?
I love the subject of content. Go on, Tom. I know you have a strategy. You have a big strategy. Go on.
Well, I mean, so what I was going to say was, again, playing to strengths. I'm one of those people that I'm very idea driven. My mind is always going like 100 miles an hour. And so I just keep a running note app on my phone with a running list of things I want to talk about. And it's a never ending list. When I do a piece of content on that, I'll sort of make a notation or I'll cross it off the list. But I usually and it's like words or phrases or sort of keywords, or, like when I look at that list, it's like this equals this, right? So I've got all kinds of things on that list. Some of those things are, talking about being authentic, talking about the rule of reciprocity, Dominick's favorite word, adaptation, leads to survival. When we talk about companies or businesses being agile versus being stagnant, or being agile to overcome stagnation. So I just keep this running list, and I have 100 things a day I want to talk about, and I probably only add a couple of things to that list every day, but I try to add a few things every day. And at the end of the day, I think about the sort of context that I use, or the sort of filter, I should say, that I use to determine what goes on that list and what stays off that list. Is I run it through the question that Julie was asking before, was how do you know that what you're doing is going to provide value for your audience, right? So I always run it through the filter, and I ask the question, will this prove valuable to someone else? Can my expertise or my thoughts on this subject matter prove valuable to someone else? And if the answer is yes, I believe so, then I'll share it. If it's no, they're better off getting that advice or those thoughts or that expertise from someone else, then it doesn't go on the list. And so that's, I try to stay in my lane a little bit and stay in sort of my zone of expertise, my zone of genius, so to speak. But that's how I do it. I just jot down notes when things pop into my head. I write them down. It's
I
really
love
that
that.
simple.
Renee,
I love that. Thank you.
I want to tackle this for beginning content creators as well. So there's experts in the group, in like Jamie, I'm going to get to you. I think you would be a good one for this. Johnny creates content 24/7. Now, there's a point where you're starting out in content creation, for if you're listening to the replay or whatever, that you might not be comfortable yet sharing your thought, sharing your original thought. So one, what I would say is there something you're passionate about? Is there something you're an expert in? And then sometimes you can find like minds. So this may mean that you believe in what Tony Robbins says, or you believe in what is it, Brene Brown, something like that, or Mel Robbins, where I believe in Mel Robbins, 20 Seconds of Courage, reshare, this. So you're starting to, now all of a sudden you can comment on those things that you have the like mind. So it's other people's content, but you're commenting on it. Now you're sharing that. So you're now entering this zone where you're comfortable sharing content. And then after that, you start to share your own thoughts on these subjects, or just your own thoughts in general. So then you do it by 1 line, 2 lines, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and you're building to this place. Crescendo. Is it crescendo or crescendo, Tom? You're
Crescendo, I believe.
Crescendo. Okay. You're building to this where now you can go out there and you can share your story. You can push play on the podcast, like David said, push play. You can turn that camera around. You can have your own YouTube show, whatever it is. So we're going to get to producer Jimmy on this too, because anytime I like to get to producer Jimmy, but I think she might actually have some good thoughts on this. So producer Jimmy, if you're here, you're not out buying shoes. One day I was in a room and she was actually buying shoes while she was in the room, Tom. So I hope she's not buying shoes right now.
I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago in this room.
It was 3 weeks ago. I needed boat shoes. Oh my gosh, y'all are hilarious. And I apologize that I missed the context. Can you give me a super quick recap? I'd love to pour in.
Is there a path? Is there a path to creating content, posting content, knowing what you are going to post? Where do you start? How do you do it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So, first of all, what Tom was suggesting about having this running living list is one of the best pieces of advice. I think that's how you say it. You can take pieces of advices you can take, because for a few reasons. One, it gives you a really good runway of ideas, so you don't have to think about it every single time you're trying to think of content to put out, but also because it gives you the confidence to know that you really know what you're doing, and because it also gives you the opportunity to plan things, organize them in a way that makes sense and as deliverables for your audience. So I think Tom's suggestion of a list is a perfect place to start. And then what I would do is then consider that list, as Tom was saying, is ongoing as a living document. But then taking that and organizing it and say, okay, what are the ideas? Are there buckets here? And if there are good buckets of information, then you might want to say, okay, maybe for the first week or so, I really focus on this lane and I really get people's minds thinking about this particular topic. And then in the next week, I'll kind of switch gears into this next natural thing. So for example, just going off the cuff here, if I were to do one based on okay, well, this is my old show, Business in the Bedroom. So initially I was like, okay, well, I really want to do some initial, I did this list. I did exactly what Tom was suggesting. I brainstormed, had a list, and then I realized that there was a good pattern, but then there was a chunk of topics, of themes that were really good as a launch pad for my audience. So I crafted those into my initial 8 episodes. So now that you have now I had my content set as far as my episodes were concerned. So I knew what I was going to kind of be doing, what the journey was that I wanted to bring my audience down through. So that was my playbook, right? So now I had my 8 thematic episodes that were going to take people on this journey to get their business started. So now with each of those, knowing what came just before it, what's coming just after it, and what I really want to hit on with that particular episode, now I say, okay, what are the questions I can ask them to get them to reflect on this content point? What can I ask them? Not just about, and that can be, what is it that really resonated with you in the episode? It can be, what is it about this episode that, like, let me ask you a question that relates to the episode, and then I want to hear what your answer is. So for example, if my episode happened to be on, I know this for a fact, one of my first episodes was on how we're all our worst naysayer, it's on imposter syndrome. So great question would have been, I don't think I asked this, but it would have been, can you give us an example of what's the loudest imposter voice that's going on in your head right now? Or what is your biggest self-doubt right now? Or what is something that you've done to overcome your own self-doubt? Something like that. So thinking about your content in terms of what you're putting out to the masses, in terms of how it's going to give value, in terms of how it's going to paint this overall picture, scope of deliverable message for your audience. That's what you want to be thinking about. Again, and no matter what, in all things that you're doing content related, it comes down to the value you're delivering to the person on the other end of it. So starting with that, and then coming up with a whole list of ideas for brainstorming, and then crafting a strategy around those, and then putting them out piece by piece, and making sure that content is engaging, asking questions and asking them about them. Make it about them, not me. I hope that helps. I'm complete. It does. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. And I wanted to highlight something really quickly about what Jamie just had to say, and that is that at the beginning of what Jamie was saying there, when she first started speaking, she misspoke, right? She said pieces of advices, right? And the reason I'm highlighting that, so I'm not highlighting that to criticize Jamie. I'm highlighting that to commend
And
Jamie.
I'm not going to highlight that you keep calling me Jamie.
Jemmy. I'm sorry, Jemmy. I'm sorry. We all make mistakes, right? So here's why I wanted to highlight that, right? Jemmy said pieces of advices, right? She misspoke. But what did she do? She laughed at herself and she kept going, right? And I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's so important. And what did I just do? I called her the wrong name, right? But she corrected me. I accepted that and I kept going, right? And so why is that important? Why is that something worth highlighting? It's worth highlighting because so often when it comes to creating content, people get stuck before they even get started. They get stuck because they're so nervous about being perfect, right? So it's not even what do I talk about? It's I don't feel like I'm delivering it perfectly. And so it's not good enough, right? And the point is that part of being authentic and speaking authentically and being your authentic self, like we've been talking about in this room, is being a person who makes mistakes, like all of us do, right? Like I wanted to highlight the fact that Jemmy was making a mistake, and in the course of doing that, I made a mistake, and that's okay because we all make mistakes, right? Nobody in this room heard Jemmy start speaking, heard her misspeak, and was like, "Oh, I'm out. I'm not listening to anything she has to say," because she put an S on the end of advice. Like that's it. That's a ridiculous thing to do. Nobody did that. Everybody listened. She gave great advice for Renee, and everybody benefited from what Jemmy had to say. And that's because we acknowledge that we're all humans. We all make mistakes and nobody's perfect. And so you just have to own that and be authentic about it. And then the other thing I wanted to give Renee is another framework that just kind of popped into my head that I thought was worth sharing very, very briefly. And that is to sort of trust your instinct. It goes back to something we were talking about before. Billy Thorpe was in the room and he was talking about how, you can tell, you can listen to someone, you can hear it in their voice if they're being authentic or if they're full of BS, right? And full of bull. Let's just end it there. But you can tell if somebody is full of it, right? Just by listening to them. And so I think a good sort of along those lines, a good framework to use for whether or not something, an idea or thoughts or a piece of content is worth sharing is, would you be excited in a one-on-one situation or a person-to-person exchange? Would you be excited to share that with somebody? Would you be excited to tell another person face to face about that thing? And if the answer is yes, then it's most likely worth sharing. Are you going to be right 100% of the time? No. But like we just talked about, none of us are perfect, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be 100%. No one ever does 100%, right? So if it feels like something that you want to share with someone else, you're probably right. Trust your intuition. Go ahead and share it. Thanks, Dom.
Thank you.
You guys are all on point.
Can
Hey,
I just
Tom,
say one thing?
please go on.
Okay, so I did want to. I muted and I quickly unmuted because now I'm learning where the mute button is. But I didn't even notice the S. My thoughts were I did notice her name, and then when you said her name, I thought, oh, is that her name? And then she corrected you. I was more focused on that, so I didn't even notice the mistake. But I'm glad you brought that up because that is, like, for me, that is one of the things I'm one of the freeze type people. Usually, when I get nervous, I'm going to freeze first. I'm going to check it out, make sure what's going on before. I don't always just jump right into things if I'm really honestly deeply scared or nervous or whatever. But I didn't notice that she even said that. So, and I actually was like, wow, she's got a cool voice, and she sounds like, because I do that all since I'm audio. You sound like so and so. My head does that all the time. So I kind of went there. I didn't notice.
I need to know, who do I sound like?
I know.
Yeah.
I don't. I was
Whitney
sitting there
Houston.
thinking,
Who's she sound like?
I couldn't put my finger on it. I really, there was somebody that you sounded to me like that I've heard in watching, like a comedy, a sitcom or something. But
Okay.
Okay, here we have it. Okay.
Wait, sorry, Dom. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna throw a dart in the dark real quick, Renee, and ask you only because someone brought this up once. I didn't hear it. I don't believe it. But is it Mila Kunis? Someone said I sound like her.
Yeah, you know what? You do have that. She wasn't who I was thinking of, but yes, you do sound. You have for me, I was thinking of somebody, the girl, in that Cosby show. That dates me for sure, but
I'll take it.
Yeah, well, she was the attractive one, and she was going to college, or I don't remember, but
of course she's the attractive one. Okay, we're moving on here.
Okay, we're moving on.
Enough.
Okay, shoes and now voices.
We love
We'll talk later.
love Jimmy. We got it. Jimmy, Renee, thank you. Tom, we're moving on. No more voices, no more provinces. This is a room. We talk Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media. Sometimes I even have trouble pushing these buttons of people's faces I'm trying to call on next or call up to the stage. So if you want to jump on the stage, we try to ask everybody. We think we're equal opportunity. That's our attempt. Like if you have a question or a tip or something you want to add, we're going to try to ping you or however, call you up. But if there's something, if we miss you somehow, jump up on here. Somebody that I followed early on, he was one of the first people I followed on Clubhouse, and I'm into everything he does as a storyteller, as just a light, and whether it's just a great storyteller. So Johnny, you've heard the subject. When you get Johnny in a room, you let Johnny do whatever the hell he wants to do. So that's what we're doing, Tom. I don't know. I could ask him a question, but we're just going to let him go where he wants to go. Go on, Johnny.
Apparently, the floor is yours, Johnny. Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Hey there, friends and foes. My name is John Pica, the prophet of pop culture, but you can call me Johnny. And as Dominick was saying, I am a storyologist, a multidisciplined storyteller, artist, author, podcaster, character actor, singer, and magician. And I tell stories about fun and amazing adventures. And as a podcaster, Dom, since that is what came up, how do you know what to post, when to post, social media posting, and whatnot? I'll share my 2 cents. I have a formula that I use. I I post at least 3 things a day. One, I post or share or repost about the show, either an episode, a past episode, or news upcoming, promoting an episode. I post one relevant news story a day. Here's what's going on in the world of comics or Saturday morning cereal or the toy world. And I post at least one just humorous, funny image, meme, joke, something just fun. And I do that at least every day, at least those 3, sometimes more, sometimes a lot more, but never less. And that's the formula that I use, and that's what creates engagement for us. And I focus mostly on Facebook because that's where our audience is primarily. However, Instagram is coming on, and we're getting some really great engagement from Instagram. And yeah, that's my strategy. That's what I do. I don't know if that answered the question or not, or did I just ramble on?
Johnny, you're allowed. You got carte blanche, so Johnny's allowed. And I know people listening will get value from Johnny. Johnny, do you ever look at like times a day or anything like that? Or are you just like, well, nothing's going on right now, time to post? Or are you like, with me, I'm always looking at like 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, later on, different times of day, different places, first thing in the morning. Can I be there first? Consistency. But is there any times where you're like, oh, I got to do Thursday at this, or, anything like that?
I will answer that 2 ways. Yes. And it's always changing because I've not seen it make a difference for me. So I'm always experimenting, and I have a schedule. I have scheduled times, but I change it up frequently to see if it makes a difference. So far, it hasn't, but that's me.
Good stuff, Johnny. Always a pleasure. I wanted to hop back on the authentic and making mistakes and things like that. I have an author, Harry Spate, Selling with Dignity. He's the absolute best. You'll see he's killing it on LinkedIn. He's making videos like crazy. And I believe that we should be in all these other places sharing our story, because how would somebody learn about, if people are consuming content on Clubhouse and you're not there, how would they find out about Tom's content or Jimmy's content? But if you're on LinkedIn, so Harry has this Selling with Dignity. And one day he's doing a video. And in the middle, he does live videos and things like that. In middle of video, Tom, he says, I forgot what I'm talking about. And right, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm watching it. And he's like, well, sometimes you're doing a video, you forgot. And then he's like, oh, I remember. And I'm like, Harry, I did you really want to play that video? And he tells me, oh, people love it. Got my most comments I've ever got. And here's pure authenticity. He completely screwed up, forgot what he was talking about. People love it, and he got to his message. So what do you think?
Just goes to show that if you are authentic and genuine, right, and show that you are a real human being, just like Harry did in that story, right? In the middle of talking. And hey, who hasn't had that happen to them, right? We can all relate to that. All of us have been in the middle of telling a story to someone and gone, wait, what was I saying? Right? Like you kind of find yourself meandering off a side path, like off of the beaten trail of the story. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. What were we talking about? Right? We've all done that in conversation. And so all Harry was doing was just doing that, right? He was doing it in a live video, and people identified with that. People saw right away, hey, this guy is genuine. He is authentic. This is not some like BS, overpolished, overshined, like salesy kind of presentation. This is a guy who's genuinely out here talking as a human being to other human beings and trying to provide value. and so that's why he got such a great response from it, is just because he was able to laugh at himself, right? We all have to be able to laugh at ourselves. And I forget what I'm saying. God, I don't know. Sometimes, some days it feels like half the time. I get in the middle of a sentence and I'm like, wait, what was I going to talk about? Actually, just happened to me when I got on. I wanted to say what I was going to say about Jemmy being authentic and laughing off her little misstep with the S, right? And then I wanted to talk about that framework for Renee, thinking about like whether or not you would be excited to tell somebody a story face to face. And until I was about halfway through, actually until about when Jemmy corrected me for saying her name wrong, until I got corrected for my mistake, that was about when I remembered what the other thing was that I wanted to say. But in the back of my mind, as I was talking, I was going, "Oh, that man, there was something else I wanted to say, and I lost it. And then it popped back in, and I was able to spit it out. But the same thing happened to me. I just managed to find it before I finished talking about the first thing. But yeah, it's just about authenticity, man. Be relentlessly authentic. Just going to keep, that's going to be like my mantra now. I'm going to say that to everybody all the time because that's
You might be
authentic for me to say.
you might be paying my author, and she's from the Netherlands, Evelyn Van S. So check her out on LinkedIn and stuff too. She's the best.
No, that's
Okay,
why I was careful to paraphrase, Dom. That's why I was careful to paraphrase.
You're good. Now, one thing we're going to do here before we get to Carmen, you'll see up if anybody's looking, you can add links on Clubhouse to something if you're promoting or anything like that, or want people to know where to find you. Somebody that I want you to know where to find is our buddy David up top, Upcycle Canada. So he's a friend of ours. He's always supportive. He had me on his podcast. His podcasts are great. So this Upcycle Canada, he's helping. David, tell us about Upcycle Canada real quick. You get a 30-second plug. Come on, man.
All right,
We
Tom,
appreciate
thank you so much. Yeah, so we take things people don't want and we make them into something new. So a great example at Christmas, a lady walked in with organ parts from her grandfather's organ, all disassembled pieces from an organ. I had the keys, I had the pedals, I had the sides, I had the little pull things that make the different sounds, everything. And she asked us to make 10 items for her family from the organ to be regifted back to the family as a Christmas present. So we kept all the scratches, the nicks, the little marks that the kids had made over the years on their grandfather's organ, gave them all back to them as different gift ideas. And she was able to re-gift something that was going to the garbage. It still had memories. The kids could remember the scratch that they did years ago. They got that piece back with their scratch on it. It was so great to have something with meaning, with value, repurposed, saved from the landfill. Everybody can do this. It's very simple. And it's just about being thoughtful and not just throwing stuff away. That's what we do every single day. UpcycleCanada.ca, the Upcycle Canada podcast. Come join us. And we'd love to do that. Thank you, Tom. Thanks, Tom. You guys host a great room every week. Jemmy, I love listening to you every single time you talk. It's great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we got a community here. You guys make this happen. Where you hear me say, when I say I'm riding your coattails, I mean, I'm happy to be here. I'm making notes. It says original content, document, British Columbia provinces. So I'm learning. But one of the things I wanted to touch on with David too is that all this. So like I'm a publisher, so I'm talking about storytelling and things like that. Tom does storytelling through video. John Jay through radio. Your business has a story. So your brand has a story. So it is getting comfortable telling that story. Everything you put out there is a story in some way, and you need to figure out how to master that, make it concise, how to make it consumable, how to make it likable. And David, you see, he is likable as heck. So, okay, somebody else likable as heck. Heck, what a weird word. Okay. Tom, we are going to meet Carmen next. Carmen, I've met Carmen before. Hold on here, though. I'm looking at, you can read profiles. I like to read profiles, and this one has me. This one, I just love something about it. Hi, thanks for checking out my bio. My superpower is I make up stories. I write children's books, and I am a blogger. So how authentic. She tells you right there, I make up stories. Carmen, so please drop a tip, ask a question. We are appreciative that you're here.
Hi, Dominick. Thank you so much. And Tom, thank you for pinging me into the room. And Michael for bringing me up. I honestly, I don't know. I was able to pop into this room today, and I'm glad because this room has been wonderful. I heard Renee speak, and I hope that I can just bring something of value to Renee. I just wanted to mention to her, Renee real quick. I read her bio, heard her speak, and she said that her twin sister is visually impaired as well. And Renee, what I wanted to let you know is that I'm going to connect with you because I'm not going to try to take too much room up. I was the president of the Denver chapter for the Foundation Fighting Blindness. So I was the chapter president for 11 years. However, I stepped down 2 years ago just to continue my writing. And I have such invaluable information that I could share with you. And I think if you've not heard of them, you would really benefit. These people are wonderful. They share things with the new cutting edge technology. I mean, we have lawyers and dancers and singers and mountain climbers and authors and you name it, we have it. And they always speak about the abilities, and you talk about content. Wow, there's a lot of content that you could get from there as well. I wrote a children's book series called Patchland Adventures, and it is about a young boy who had to eye patch in order to strengthen his weaker eye. And at first I thought, who's going to want to hear this story? I wrote it because my son was struggling. However, at the same time, I'm thinking, well, he can't be the only one. So I put the story out there, and it took me 2 years, found a wonderful editor and illustrator, and just went on from there. I think, and you said everybody has a gift, and you're right. You have a gift, and everybody has a story, and someone does want to hear your story. So I just wanted to drop that in, and hopefully that helped a little bit. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Carmen, thank you for the inspirational words. Shayla, thanks for the clap. We're clapping up. That's some love. I mean, I'm all things inspiration. So when people bring that to the room, I get those chills, and I get those chills up my spine, and think, hey, today at the end of the day, maybe the reason I was on this earth today was to give Carmen a platform so she could talk to Renee and offer a little more hope. And at the end of the day, maybe I'll sleep better today. So when you know that why, you sleep better at night. If even you're moving forward and you're able to, those little wins add up, and maybe you created a ripple or made a difference. So Renee, Carmen, thank you for being here. Tom, I see you put up. Renee, go on.
I just wanted to. How do you clap?
You turn your mic off and on.
Okay, I'm practicing real fast.
Which is interesting because sometimes you turn your mic off and on, it looks like you want to talk. Sometimes it's clapping. So you're doing a good job, Renee. We appreciate you. Tom, let's see. We put up Flintstone Media here. What's Flintstone Media, Tom?
Oh my God.
Our friend Jemmy's platform, our friend Jemmy's business, Flintstone Media LLC, and I will let her take it from here. But I wanted to make sure we gave her a chance to talk about what she does. She drops so much value in here that I want to make sure we make sure that people know how to work with her.
Oh my gosh, you guys are the kindest people ever. Thank you so much. So yeah, Flintstone Media is my podcast production house and consultancy firm that I've had since 2014. Back when people when I say, hey, I have a podcast company, people were like, oh, what's a podcast? Yeah, I was the crazy girl who built a company back when no one knew what it even was. But yeah, 7-8 years later, we are going strong. We have a fantastic team. We manage podcasts, produce podcasts, start up podcasts, for both independent podcasters and podcast networks. So we have a portfolio of about 20, 30 independent podcasters. We also manage the Horse Reader Network, the Wedding Biz Network, and I own the Florida Podcast Network as well. So if any of that interests you, just check out my stuff in my bio. But I'll take this opportunity to say that today I'm closing applications for a new position with the company as our business administrator. And the idea is for this person to come on, support the business, and grow into our business manager. So really teaching people the business side of podcasting. So if you have a passion for business and a passion for podcasting, or if you know somebody who does, please know today is the deadline to apply. And that information is right there on flintstonemedia.com/BA job for business administrator job. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm complete.
We appreciate you, seriously. Every time, just like David said, I feel the same way. I know Tom does too. You come in a room and one, you lift our spirits, but also the knowledge and the way you're able to share it. So methodically spirited. How about that? Because she's able to go through a step-by-step process, but also do it with a smile where even a layman like me can understand. I'm like, I think I could accomplish that. So thank you, Jimmy. Next, okay, look, are these hearts in the background here? Let's see. I'm looking close. I think this is Dr. Shayla. This is what I'm seeing. And I think I see hearts behind your profile picture, but maybe she can tell us. But okay, Doctor, would you like to introduce yourself and ask a question or drop a tip? Go on.
Oh, thanks so much. This has been a great room, and I just love all the work that's been shared. I just wanted to say real quickly, I got a chance to see David Campbell's site, Upcycle Canada, and we love the guitar bracelets, the guitar string bracelets. There's just so many cool things there, especially if you have a family of guitarists. You definitely find something really thoughtful and sweet. And then funny, Carmen, because I was reading both yours and Renee's bios, and I thought, do they know each other? Are they friends? Because there could be, based on what you were sharing and what your work, it's good. So, and then Jemmy, not that you're all asking for me for my feedback, but I just really wanted to share just some thoughts that came to mind. But it's just so cool that you've been in this business for so long, in the field of podcasting, because I'm sure, it's so cool when you're doing something when people are like, what is that? And we're not even there yet, sort of. And and that just gives me inspiration to keep going with, for all of us to keep going with some of our ideas, and very inspiring. I'd love to hear you speak again. So I'm Shayla, please call me Shayla. And I work with my organization called Miniature Vintage. And it's taken a few evolutions from an online shop to doing, antique and vintage artwork and really cool, like tramp arts, things, unique finds. And then it's gone into really becoming more of a community that talks about creativity and the role of the arts in connecting to developing children, just addressing well-being for all people. So design thinking is just this way of, many of you may already be familiar, but being able to kind of have a process for how we create and develop our ideas and reiterate and, make mistakes, get messy. And that's all encouraged in the process of design thinking. So I guess my question for today is, as if you go onto my Instagram, you can see that I do need some work in terms of bringing out that message of design thinking a little bit stronger in my content. And that's exactly why I came out this room, is you talk about social media and publishing. So what I've done now is I literally in the last 2 days, wrote a number of pages about what design thinking is and how this all kind of connects together with the emotions, because design thinking is not just about, putting together good ideas from your brain. And that's in constructing ideas, although that's a big part, but it's also being attuned to our feelings in the learning process, any setbacks and how we can overcome them because of our strengths and that sort of thing. So it's the emotional aspects. And just to wrap things up here, I guess my question is, I'm writing all of that up now. And my hope, because I want to tell a good story, and that's what I'm hearing here, is if I can tell that good story on paper, then my hope is to then transfer it over to my social media world and hopefully get that on Instagram. So that's what I'm working now. And if any of you have done something similar to that or have any tips, I'd definitely be open to your suggestions. Thanks so much. And this is Shayla.
Thanks, Shayla. Thanks for being here. Real quick, before I answer your question, I just want to point out, while we're here in the room, Shayla is doing exactly the right thing, exactly the way, using Clubhouse, exactly the way we always encourage people to use Clubhouse. She already sent me a connection request on LinkedIn that popped up before she even started talking. So she is using LinkedIn to grow her network. That's what we're doing. We're always encouraging people to do that here. Talk in the back channel, look up people's profiles, look them up on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever they are, and make sure you connect and keep your relationships going outside of this room. Super important to do. And I just wanted to applaud Shayla for doing that real quick. The other thing to your question, Shayla, about about creating, I just had a Harry Spate moment. I just completely lost my train of thought. That's what I'm going to call it now. I'm sure he's going to be super excited when you tell him about that, Dom.
I'm going to clip it and let him put it on. I guarantee he'll put it on his social media. So go on.
But yeah, so Shayla, when it comes to sort of storytelling and creating content, and getting a story down on paper and then moving it over, migrating it over, creating video content and other kinds of content around it. I think a lot of what we talked about in this room today in terms of being authentic is very important. Making sure that the voice is true to you and you're delivering value to your audience. Always put that first. Always put that delivery of value first, and then kind of let the story follow from there. I had something else that I wanted to mention, and I can't think of it right now, but I'll hand it over to Dom. I know he's always got thoughts on storytelling, because that's our common ground. We're both storytellers in our own ways. So I'll hand it over to Dom and let him run with it, and maybe I will remember what I was going to say.
Okay, and Shayla, the first thing that I would say, just to anybody in this room, I'm a bio guy, and meaning elevator pitch, your first 30 seconds, I want people to know what you do. So when I come to your Instagram, I just be clear. And so John Jay, if he was in the room, he would, how could I help you? That's the thing. So I do this, you feel you'll get better Christmas presents. Here's Christmas presents that will make you feel good, or, gifts that'll make you feel good, or whatever it is. But I would just first step, be clear on what it is that you do. Here's what I am. Here's how I can help people. And so I think that's the start of what you're doing over there. I checked out the page, and I would just keep building, growing, practicing. And Tom, we had this subject come up a week ago, and it was, can I ever post too much? Yeah, if you're posting 60 times a day on the same platform, but if you're posting original content, pictures, stuff that adds value, nobody ever said, don't give me so much value. So if you're posting and you're adding value each time, I would say, so consistency and double, triple down on what you're doing. So that's my thought, Shayla. Go on, Shayla.
Oh, that's great. I know, I hear what you're saying. Just, and that will help me, because I think I have been going, oh, what can be a post, or what would be limited? And just to let it go. I'm probably not going to have that issue. And just making sure my voice is really true, because I think as an academic, I can use a lot of like complicated words, although I'm a pretty simple writer. I've gotten better at it, but still, it might be good for me to even have an editor.
Simplify it. No, you don't need it. My wife catches me 10 times a day where my post says you're instead of you are, or there instead of they are. And I go back and edit it. It is what it is. So you can delete the post. Sometimes I have a post and I all of a sudden realize that I had food in my teeth, or my hair was sticking up in the back. You can always push delete. but just put it out there, simplify that message. Also, for everybody in this room, I think the value, the content each of you is sharing today is so stinking interesting that I've never been to certain provinces in Canada. I've never been to where Tom lives. I've never been to Tom's studio. You can also document what you're doing. So rather than think I need to create all the time, wouldn't it be interesting to see? We had this guy one day, I think he's got millions of followers. He's a TikToker and on Instagram. You remember the guy, Tom, that videos him taping the boxes? He makes signs and he puts it to music. It's him making the sign. Just click, 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 making the signs, wrapping up the boxes. He has millions and millions and millions of followers, millions of views on this stuff. And then one day he told us in here, he said, we asked about marketing or advertising. He said, I've never done it. And we're like, what? And it was because he's putting out so much content, millions of people are seeing and making the realization, well, I see the signs he's making there. They're pretty cool. And then they're realizing that when they want to sign, they can do business with them. And all he's doing is 24/7 documenting what he's doing. Didn't have to go out and think, I'm going to travel here and make this production. I'm going to fix my hair and do these fancy shows. It's documenting what you're doing. So, Tom, we got a couple claps. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, I just had one other thing I wanted to say to Shayla. Just a quick little sort of trick that you can use to help edit your content. And this is something that a teacher, I don't remember which teacher it was, but I believe it was one of my teachers in elementary school, taught me to always read the things I write out loud. And so I would say for any of your posts, if you're worried about using language that is too academic or too niche and that people may not understand, if you're worried about jargon, then I would say just read it out loud. And if it reads the way you would speak to someone face to face, you're probably good to go. Right. So I would just do that. It's something I do all the time with emails, with social media posts. I will write an email and then I will read that email out loud to myself to make sure that I'm happy with how it sounds before I hit send. So just a quick little trick.
I appreciate that. And I just, like the thinking about what kind of questions I can help focus on, like, do you need more creativity in your life or things like that? But reading out loud, that I will do that. And thank you for saying that so that I won't feel so crazy talking out loud all the time to myself. So sounds good.
I have full-fledged conversations. I have full-fledged conversations when I'm by myself. So you're not alone in that, Shayla.
Great. I'll keep doing it. Thanks. Thank you both. Thank you, everyone.
Great tips, Tom. Producer Jimmy, go on. We always want to hear from you. Go on.
Thank you. Well, first I just want to mention, Tom, your I forget what you called it, your brain fart moment ago. I totally clipped it and totally sent it to Dominick, so you're welcome. But also, Shayla, I want to read something to you because it goes to the point of what Tom was finishing on there is, with your authentic voice and reading things out loud is such a helper, such a big helper. If my dad was in the room right now, I would totally still read this because he laughs at himself and he loves when I laugh at him about the way that he speaks to me. My dad is a total academic. I wish to God he would read his text messages before he sends them. This is an example of just how what you don't want to do, what you don't want to do. So this is in reference to my son's upcoming birthday party. Okay, my dad says, your brother said that you are advising us to simply let you know that we are coming. May this serve as our confirmation that we will be there. Be well. He could have just said, hey, we're going to the party. That's all he had to say. So just know your audience. Use your authentic voice. I'm complete.
I love that. He needs to meet my mom. They need to join a club, my mom and your dad.
Tom, it's time to meet some new people. So let's cruise this around. We're going to make sure we look at this. Clubhouse, podcasting, publishing, and social media. We're here every Wednesday on our live stream. I see Professor of Perseverance responded. He says, hello, that's cool. He's got a great show too. I just was a guest there. That's James. He's the man. Professor of Perseverance. The guy does not pull any punches. Somebody else that does not pull any punches. And if I'm bad on my raising hands here or calling people up, I take 100% responsibility because I'm not that good at it. So I'm working on it. Give me a break. But nobody's yelling, but I just felt like saying that. Okay, somebody that is a friend in her black hat there, very knowledgeable when she comes in the room. That's Dr. Tachi. Her pre-show to the pre-show to the pre-show even has all kinds of people watching it. So Dr. Tachi, you hear the subject today. We're talking, you know what we're talking about here. So drop a tip, ask a question. The floor is yours, Dr. Tachi.
Hi there. I'm sadly inadequate because I don't know what we're talking about today. I just hopped in and I kind of came in on the tail end. Would somebody give me a quick refresh?
That's like a Subway commercial. Refresh. So, Dr. Tachi, we talked about being authentic today. That was what the underlying theme of the conversation was. And then we really got into how do you know what to post? Where like people are starting out, do they have a plan of action? Or do you just like walk out of your house every morning and like and you're going to be wowed every day? Is there a strategy? So those are the things. Tom, is that a good summation?
Yeah, I think so. And I was just gonna say, like, on the live stream side this week, Dr. Tachi, I put up on screen. This is something that came up. I was paraphrasing one of Dom's authors, and I put up on the screen: "Be relentlessly authentic." So if you have any thoughts on that when it comes to content creation, production, media, about how valuable authenticity is, I'm sure the room will benefit from your knowledge.
Oh my goodness, this is such a great topic. So there is something that I do with students. When I used to teach a lot of public communication classes, I do this exercise on the first day. Who am I? What do I believe or believe in? And what am I willing to put everything on the line for? And this is an exercise to get them thinking about who they are, because I don't think you can really display your authentic self until you understand who it is you are, what it is you believe in, your values, etc. And we don't often think about that. We just live, we just are. So I think taking some time to be reflective on who you are actually adds to your sense of authenticity, because once you know who you are, nobody can tell you who you are. You understand who you are for yourself, and you're able to be authentic when you're putting yourself out there in public, posting, etc. And then on the posting end of it, that's a great question. What do you post? When do you post? How often do you post? And when I first started really heavily posting years ago, I posted when I felt I had something to say, because often what happens is there's a lot of stuff out there and people think they have to post, and for algorithm's sake, etc. Yeah, there should be some posting with some level of regularity if you're trying to keep your audience along for the ride. But if you don't have anything to say, and it's just adding nothing to the space, then don't say it. Maybe today is not the day. Maybe tomorrow you'll have something to say. This is just for me. So I started off posting when I had something that I wanted to say, something that I wanted to say that I thought would add value to other people. So that's not to say it's wrong to just post whatever. Whatever your strategy is, do what works for you. But from a gut perspective, when you have something to say, that's the right time to post. I release the mic.
Dr. Tachi, see, we knew she would bring it, Tom. Go on, follow up with it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I couldn't agree more, because that's 100%. It's nothing like some social proof, because essentially, using different words, you're saying what we were talking about, a couple of minutes ago, and that is the suggestion I made was, if you're excited to go and tell somebody something in person, if it's that kind of, if you put it through that filter and the answer is yes, that you would be excited to tell this story or share this information with somebody face to face, then it's probably something worth posting. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's essentially what you were saying, right? And I think that's super valuable. I think it's a great filter to put your content through. So thanks, Dr. Tachi. Always bringing the value in the room. We so much appreciate you coming by. Back to you, Dom, to keep us moving, my friend.
Let's move along. We got more people to meet. I just forgot what I was going to say. I did the same thing. So, but
You had a
check out this
Harry
camera.
Spade.
Yeah, had a Harry Spade. Check out this camera, man. This guy's rocking a good camera. I do videos with some people, and sometimes I want to use their expensive camera. I'm like, come on, can we use that camera? And they're like, no, let's use your iPhone. I'm like, come on, man. I just want to use that because it looks cool. But Michael, thanks for being in the room. Ask a question, drop a tip. Glad you're here, man.
Okay, hey, actually, I was on my way to the gym and I saw y'all, so I just came into the room real quick and I just followed the room. I hope everybody's having a great day today. Um, Really, for me, my name is Michael, and I am a storyteller here in Dallas, Texas. I always try to strive to be the best I can, and like Dr. Tashi said, knowing who you are, it took me a while to figure out who I really was because when I got into filming, I always wanted to be like this person here in Dallas or like this person here that I've been on their set before. But that didn't work for me. I had to sit back and try to figure out what is it that I want to do. Do I want to just be an extra? Do I want to be someone with a speaking role? Do I want to be a PA, gaffer, grip, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it took me a long process on trying to figure out who I wanted to be as an individual. When I finally found it, when I stopped trying to be like everybody else and I became me, so many doors started to open up for me.
Preach, Michael. That's what the room's been all about today. Somebody, please. I always say this when you come in here and drop it like this, you repurpose this stuff on social media. Michael, you should clip that and be sharing it like all over because you killed it, man. So
I don't know how to do that. I've been on here on and off. I'm still so new to how to clip stuff, and I'm so new to this kind of stuff, y'all. So
okay, so let me go on clips because some people are watching this through the live stream and they might not have seen. You can go anytime you push those scissors, it will record like the last 30 seconds. It's a little bit off, that kind of thing. But what's cooler, you can go to the replay of a show. So I could go to Sid's show. Sid's always dropping knowledge on his show, tip after tip after tip in his rooms and things like that. I could go back to his room. If they have replay on, I can scroll through because it's pretty easy because you can even see when your little image lights up because when you're speaking, your mic's off and you can clip anything that you've said in that hour show or whatever. So that would be, so definitely try it. Okay, next up, we are meeting, Michael, thank you for being here. We are meeting math on her hat, something that, let's be authentic here. I failed pre-algebra, I think 3 times until finally I told the teacher I will sit up in the front and not say a word the rest of the semester. College algebra a couple times, statistics a couple times, until I was finally taking statistics and algebra and like 5 other prerequisites at the same time because I was never going to get out of college. And I told the dean that I will figure it out. They were like, well, you can't take 4 prerequisites of each other your last semester. You can't do it. That's not allowed. I'm like, well, I got to get out of school at some point. I'll be here 4 more years. So since she has math on her hat, that's what we're going to. Ching, would you like to drop a tip or ask a question? Then we're going to come back to Larry, but he was on the phone. So we got
It's so
Sid.
funny. Hi,
All right.
Dominic. That's so funny. Oh, thank you so much for having me. Yes, the math hat actually is okay if you're poor in math, and I wasn't great in math. It means make America think harder. Was a slogan at 2020 when Andrew Yang was running for primary presidential candidate. So the reason this picture was because I was told to use my math hat to take a picture, and then my designer did a poster for my film. And I actually shot a documentary, use iPhone 11. It's interesting you're talking about the fancy camera that Michael had. So I used iPhone 11, shot an entire 90-minute, made an entire 90-minute film. Now has won like 3 best feature documentary in 3 countries, and it's going to be shown in New York City in the cinema in 2 weeks. So I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. And also, I'm a musician. So I'm a musician turned into a filmmaker. Thank you.
Okay. Ching, as a filmmaker, as somebody who has ascended to a pretty high level here, give us one storytelling tip before you go. We have people in here, they want to share their story. What is one tip you would give them?
One story tip. Storytelling. Storytelling is something in many of us, we have, naturally, some people are naturally wanting to tell a story all the time. So be sensitive, and also be just always be alert, and then share uh, your story as authentic as you can, either by telling the story audibly, or by written, or by visual. So there's many ways of doing it. Thank you.
Ching, spectacular. Michael, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, just really quick. I just want to say, as one filmmaker to another, Ching, congratulations on that. I would have to definitely try to find that. And like y'all was saying about the camera, it's it's cool to have a camera. I always wanted to have a big camera, so I have 3 that's rigged really nice. But I'm telling you, having an iPhone that shoots 4K compared to a camera that shoots 6K, ProRes, whatever, hauling all this equipment, y'all, when you can just put your camera in your backpack and go. Sometimes it's like, man, I should just shoot on the iPhone. I thought about that before, shooting on the iPhone. I have a buddy that shoots on his iPhone. But when you go and people book you to shoot their projects, they want, for some reason, it's perception. Like, man, they using big cameras and rigs and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes smaller, going with that type of stuff is better, but people like the perception and look like it's a real production set. So once again, iPhones, I would love to shoot on the iPhone, but everybody book me because they want all the big equipment.
I would, as a cinematographer myself, Michael, the only thing I would say is, I think, when people hire me or hire my company to produce a project for them, unless it's specifically meant to be shot on an iPhone, I'm never going to shoot it on an iPhone, because ultimately the imagery that I get out of one of my production cameras, out of my FX9 or a different camera that we're using on the shoot, is going to be better, and is also going to give me a lot more flexibility in post. So it's one of those things, like, in some ways it's not necessarily bigger is better, unless you're specifically talking about the sensor size, and we can really get in the weeds on technical specs, and I'm not going to do it. But I
Exactly.
mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, sometimes people can't tell the difference, but I'll always know the difference. And so I'm always gonna use the best equipment I can afford to use to create the best content I can afford to use, or I can afford to create. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I understand what you're saying, though. I understand. And feel free, if you want to respond to that, feel free.
Oh yeah,
Can
no,
I?
I
Okay,
totally agree.
hold on. We're going to go to Ching, Michael, and then we're rolling to Sid. Go on.
Okay, yeah, Tom, I totally understand what you're talking about. Yeah, so the I just wanted to say that the reason I did it on iPhone, I followed the movement for a whole year by myself. I didn't have a crew. I didn't have money. It was like a no budget kind of film. And so I think in that sense, it is workable. If you just, have very little money, and you have a long haul Of course, some documentary can take for 20 years to make. That's a different story. So I just said, but if say someone wants to hire me to do a wedding, I will think about whether I should use my, I have two Sony A7 III, and I have other cameras. So I probably would use a little bigger camera, because I think at weddings, people hire you not only is because they want the image of their wedding, but it is a statement. So that's how I feel. Thank you.
Perceived value says something. Go on, Michael. And then we're going to Sid and then my boy Jimmy Aj down there.
No,
So, Michael.
I'm good, y'all. Actually, I'm following the room. I'm following quite a few of y'all now. I'm at the gym waiting to go up in here to get this workout in. Thank y'all for having me on board. God bless y'all, and y'all have a great day.
Well, good luck with the lift, man. Make sure you don't, what do they say? You don't use your back. So make sure you're, you lift and using proper technique there.
Thanks for being here, Michael. Yeah, definitely get in there, get that workout done. And I just wanted to say to Cheng, I completely understand that. I think if the project calls for it, you can use the iPhone. It's just a matter of, for me, using the right tool for the job, right? It turns out for your work, for that documentary, the iPhone was the right tool for the job. And in other cases, it's not going to be. So I just always try to dispel that idea that, it's one of those things that people think they walk around with a video camera in their pocket all the time, and all of a sudden everybody thinks they're a filmmaker. And that's not really true. So I just want to make sure that it takes a lot of work other than just pulling a camera out of your pocket and pointing it at something. There's a lot more that goes into it, and a lot more that went into your documentary. So just wanted to make sure I highlighted that. And Dom, we're going to Sid next, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to say, interesting the storyteller aspect of that. What Ching really is a great storyteller. So you give her any different camera or something like that, but at the root of it, she's a great storyteller. So, okay, somebody that I'm following, I love this guy. I tell you who I'm following and who I'm like consuming their content. I need you to ping me more, Sid, because I haven't seen you on Clubhouse as much. I need more pings out of you. But I follow everything he's doing on social media. I even watch what he's eating on Instagram. That's how creepy I am, Tom. But Sid, you've heard the conversation today. You're dropping value every room you go into. So what do you got for us?
Well, Dominick, thank you always for the kind words. Yeah, I haven't been on Clubhouse very much this week. I've had a sinus infection and allergy attack, and am today just really able to talk for the first time. But I do have a couple of comments, and then I have a question at the end. I love the conversation about being authentic and showing up who you are, because when you do that, you're going to not only attract the right people, you're going to repel the wrong people. And we hear it a lot. It's better to have 1,000 true fans than 16,000 unengaged fans, because those true fans are the ones that are going to help propel you and your business forward. So, I absolutely am in favor of showing up authentically as to who you are in the moment that you are when you're grilling lamb chops on the grill, to Dominick's point, or whatever it is you're doing, because that's really what people want to see. And when it comes to posting, and there's so many options of things that you can post, but I'm going to share a little insight about what not to post. This is just my opinion. Everybody may have a different opinion, but when it comes to posting, don't tell me that yesterday was National Pancake Day. I don't know that that's relevant to me or to to the community, unless you tell me how it correlates to my business or how it can be impactful to me. I don't need to know what every day of the week is as it relates to, because there's an event or some kind of special day every day of the week. So think really long and hard about the content that you're creating and how it can help and support your community, your followers, your customers, your potential customers, because content is really designed to help attract the right people to you. And if you're just telling me that it's National Pancake Day and any other day, every day of the week, that's not going to be helpful to attracting people into your ecosystem. So that's my tip about content. So can I ask my question now, Dominick?
Sid, you are able to do whatever you want, man, with that beautiful yellow background. It looks like he reminds me of Superman when he went up in the sky and healed himself by the sun. That's what I get when I see your picture, Sid. I'm healed. So keep talking, man.
Dude, you crack me up. Well, I hope that my content tip was helpful to, and authenticity was helpful to anybody listening. But Dominick, I need some help. I need some best practices, please, about how to get producer Jimmy to respond to me in Instagram, because she's like totally ghosting
Okay,
me,
I'd like
and
to
it's starting
tackle
to
that
hurt
one,
my
Sid.
feelings.
She's so busy. She's on fire. What do you expect, man? That's like,
I know, but I'm like totally ghosted for weeks now.
I'm
Sid,
so
I love
sad.
you. I love you. I
I
love you. I love you. I will DM you my phone number. That way, my IG DMs are the worst. I admit it. It's not you. I promise.
I called her on Instagram and I called Julie on Instagram, and neither of them answered me. Man, one of these days I'm going to call somebody in this room. I should call Sid this afternoon on Instagram. It's so clear, the clarity there. So, but Sid, I don't have an answer for you on that. So, thank you for any other questions, Sid?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, Tom, we are going to meet. Look, if you're jumping in Clubhouse rooms and things like that, for people that don't know about the app, if you're listening to the live stream or if this is your first time, I always think you should get a bio. But below, we're having my friend Jim Ajay, who is one of my dearest friends for about 20 years. He's just on the app. He's really a part of so much we do at Motivation Champs. Like if there's a project or something like that, we go somewhere, hand out turkeys, whatever. Jimmy has to be there. I need him there. He gives me peace of mind. So, Jim, you said you had a question. If you want to add anything, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, hey Dom, how's everyone doing today? Yeah, I had a quick question. So, in reference to content and posting, there are times when you post something and you think it's really good, and there's times when you think it's okay. When you post something that you really like, or maybe it's directed towards a certain audience, do you ever forward that to certain people, hoping that they'll see it? Because I mean, you're by posting something, you're hoping that people see it. But if you forward it to them either through Messenger or maybe on LinkedIn, sending them a message, then hopefully you increase your chances of them viewing it and seeing the content that you created. Is that something that you guys do or that you would recommend?
So, one, I don't love when people spam my inbox with their post every day, 10 posts a day from one person. But I do believe in, like, for instance, I did a Christmas light video. I shared it on different places on Twitter with people talking about Christmas lights. And now all of a sudden, um, the people that they're going to be on some big Christmas wars next year because their video was seen somewhere else. So I do think if you have valuable content, if you were talking about COVID-19, if you were talking about UFC, if you were talking about podcasting, why wouldn't you reach out to other people in that space and give them, if you believe in the content, my answer is put it anywhere you can. Tom?
Yeah, I think along those lines, I mean, I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing pieces of content with people, but I think for myself, here's how I would approach that, right? I would approach it in the same way I would approach sharing something with anybody, whether it's on social media or any other place, and that is, why am I sharing with them? Why do I want to show it to them? Asking that question. And if the answer is because I believe it will benefit them, then I think 100% share it, and share it with a little note that says, hey, posted this today, was thinking about you, thought you'd like to see it, wanted to make sure that the algorithm didn't pass you by, right? Like that kind of thing. A little short personal note that says, hey, this piece of content made me think of you, and so I wanted to share it with you, right? 100% totally good to go with doing something like that. But like Dom said, if you're just, blasting out your content through DMs to people, probably not a good way to go. Tie it to them, make it about them, make it about your audience, make it about your community, and not about you, right? And I think the easy way to do that is just a quick little personal note.
Right. And I don't send it out regularly, but every once in a while I'll send a note to certain people. Um, so yeah, that is helpful. But yeah, a personal note is good. I posted something today that I do want to get out to some people. So it was valuable to be able to ask that today. So I thank you guys.
Thanks, Jim, and I appreciate you, what you do for me. I'm grateful for Tom for live streaming this, figuring it out, explaining to me why my mics don't work and things like that, and really handling the tech. And everybody that comes through this room, if you come through for a minute, 5 minutes, personally, you're what makes this group, the room, everything it is. So I'm grateful, Tom. I'm going to leave with my last thought, and you can wrap up. Is the thing that I really took from each of you today is it's about them, and if we can always make it about them and never about us, that's what I want to leave this room today thinking, and in my strategy. Okay, always about them, never about me. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Tom. It's all yours, my friend.
Thanks, Dom. And thanks everybody for being here again this week, whether you were here in person live, whether you were on Clubhouse, whether you watched us on one of the live streams, or you're watching the replay or listening to the replay on Clubhouse or watching a replay of the live stream. We appreciate you being here and being a part of this project that we're working on and trying to bring to more people, again, because we've created a space that is all about inclusivity and providing a voice and a platform for people. And we want to spread that message. We want to give people the opportunity to share their wisdom and experiences with a broader audience so that more people can benefit from that sort of communal support that we work so hard to create here, and that Dom does such a good job of engendering as he steers this room every week. So thank you so much. This is absolutely 100% truly all about the people that come through here every week. Dom and I are just the hosts. We are not. It's not about us. It's about you guys. We are the vessel for this community. So thank you so much for allowing us to do that. And the last thing I will leave you with today is I want everybody here live now, watching this later, listening to the replay. I want you to go out and spend the rest of your day today being relentlessly authentic. Thanks so much. Let's go ahead and close the room out, Dom. We will see you guys next Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern.
Thank you.
Thank you.